Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Joe Morrow, Associate Pastor at Fourth Presbyterian Church of Chicago, and welcome back to the Salt and Light podcast. This is a unique space for conversation with our congregation's mission and community partners across the city, state, country, and the globe who are salt and light in the world. People whose wisdom and compassion offer a light that lifts the shadows and makes the invisible seen, and people whose values, like salt, preserve all that is good, loving, and just. Today, I want to introduce our special guest, Christa Hamilton, President and CEO of UCAN Chicago. Welcome, Christa.
Thank you, Reverend Joe, for having me today.
Thank you for being here, and thank you all at UCAN Chicago for being such great grantee partners over the last couple of years. You are a 156 years strong Chicago institution, outpacing Fourth Church by about maybe about 3 or 4 years. And we're grateful to support you in your work, especially the powerful work that you're doing in youth development and anti-violence work in our city. And we're going to talk more about that and how we can learn here at Fourth about being better advocates for our community and our young people. But first, I want to talk about and learn about you as a leader. So tell us a little bit about Christa. Where were you born and raised? What were significant people and places in your own background that lead you to do what you do today?
Okay, well, thank you once again for having me. So I'm a mom of 2 little ones, a 5-year-old son, Noah, and a 11-year-old daughter, Ryan. They're wonderful. They keep me young.
They do. Kids keep you humble.
That's what I'm trying to believe.
Young and humble.
I was born in Inglewood. My mother was raised in Inglewood. My parents met in Inglewood. We lived there until I was about 6 or 7. Then we moved to Bakersfield, California for a while.
Oh, wow.
Half of my family still lives there. So my mom is interested. My mother is one of 13 kids from her mother.
Wow.
So they're all across the
family.
United States. We have a really large family. And I can't even count how many cousins I have. My dad was adopted. So he was born in Germany, grew up in Alabama, and he had come to Chicago with his cousin, and he was working on a house next door to my mom's apartment, and the rest is history. I'm here.
Wow.
So yeah,
what a connection.
They were married for about 40 years. So we moved back from California, and we moved to around the Gage Park area. So that's where I grew up at. But I spent most of my time in Inglewood because all my family was there.
Right.
So we had a house there, but we would, every weekend, Friday through Sunday, we're in Inglewood hanging out with my family. CPS girl, both 2 CPS schools. So I went to elementary school, Ted Leonard Regional Gifted Center, and Whitney Young. So I'm a Dolphin.
Oh, yes.
I'm a proud Dolphin.
A few Whitney Young members, teachers, students in our congregation as well.
Very, very proud Dolphin. First in my family. So I told you I have a really, really, really big family, but the first in my family to go to college.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an experience.
Let's see, that was in 1999. So I went to college, went to Florida, of all places, FAMU.
Oh, yes.
I was obsessed.
The famous FAMU.
The famous FAMU.
Very storied African-American university and higher ed institution.
Yes, it is. Growing up watching Different World, I just knew I had to go to whatever that was.
And the greatest marching band in the world.
And the greatest marching band, yes. So went to FAMU across the country in Florida. Didn't know what I was doing. Family didn't know what we were doing. Nobody ever did this before. But the best decision I could have ever made. Difficult decision to leave my family, but the best thing I could have ever done. I bleed orange and green.
Wow.
So I'm a true Rattler. So I don't know which one I love more, Whitney Young Dolphins or Florida A&M Rattlers. Got a business degree there. Came back home. So I've always wanted to study business. I wanted to be a business leader. Then, you don't know what that means. So I wanted to be a business leader, and I wanted to work for Walgreens. And, that my prayers were answered. I got my first job out of college at Walgreens.
Wow.
But not the job I wanted. So I wanted to be in a corporate job at Walgreens, but I ended up being in store operations. But, in hindsight, as much as I despised it at the moment, I didn't want to work at the store level, but it taught me so much, and I wouldn't change that experience for the world. Learning how to run the operations of a store.
Yeah.
I met some really great leaders. My store managers were great. My district managers were great. But after about 3 years being at the store level, I was promoted to a job in corporate.
So finally got that wish.
So about 4 years I spent in corporate. But I'll be honest with you, I just wasn't quite satisfied, and I didn't know what it was. Right? What is the thing? Like when you think you want something so bad and you got it, and I just it did not please my soul, and I didn't know exactly what else was out there. But I said, hey, one thing I do know is I've done it. And I can come back to it if I want to come back to it. And that's kind of how my journey to nonprofit started. I didn't necessarily know what it meant to be nonprofit, like in nonprofit leadership. Throughout that time, I got my master's degree from National Louis University. So now I'm armed with 2 business degrees. And I'm, talking to some mentors about like, what type of work do you want to do? I've always felt myself to be in ways a humanitarian, just really caring about other people, wanting to take care of other people in that way. I don't know if it's because I'm the oldest daughter or what it is, but that's always just been my personality. So someone guided me toward nonprofit leadership. And my first boss who hired me at my nonprofit, I really appreciated the fact that he said, we're looking for people that are not social workers, right? People that have a different perspective, business acumen, because a lot of people think that nonprofits are just charities doing good work.
Right.
But we still have all the aspects and elements and functions of a business, right? Marketing, accounting, HR.
You have all these resources you still need to steward well.
That you still need to steward well.
Absolutely.
So it really became a wonderful marriage for me. And I was in 2011 that I started my journey in nonprofit leadership. And I went on to lead that company for 7 years. So I worked as a director for about 3 years, and then I became the CEO 3 years later.
Wow. Yeah. What a leap.
What a leap.
I know. So I'm thinking about your journey, the journey from Chicago to Florida and then into the corporate world. And thinking about that alongside of what many of the young people who you work with at UCAN Chicago experience, and thinking about that difference. And I wonder, when you look at your own experience and what you went through, your own journey out of your comfort zone of Chicago over to Florida, back again, what did you learn from that experience and from rising in the corporate world that you think translates or maybe is a lesson for those who you serve, those young people who you're serving now who might not know what the future holds for them?
Something I tell a lot of young people that I work with is it's okay to be the first. And it's okay to do it scared, right? Do it scared. And one of the things that I want to be, there's so many people that help me on my journey. So I want to be that person for other people that are coming behind me. And then take advantage of every opportunity. I think that is very important. I run into a lot of our participants and clients who, they let opportunities slip by them because they don't feel prepared or they don't think they have it.
They're scared.
They're ready and they're
they don't
scared.
Want to do it scared.
And we push them. I know I push them. My team pushes them. We have to do things scared, and trust that there will be people along that journey to walk with you
and to really help us
and to really help you. One of my goals at UCAN, I'll be honest, nobody probably really wants to be at UCAN, right? If you're coming to UCAN, you're part of a violence prevention program. So you may have been a victim of violence or a perpetrator. You're part of our foster care program, which means you're not with your family. You're looking for a job in our workforce program. So there's not a lot of very positive reasons why one would be in our organization.
You're coming with challenges.
You're coming
and burdens.
with some challenges. So I've asked my team that we have to be the good part of the story. right? The story has to change. So when you walk through that door for whatever one of those reasons or challenges that you're bringing to the table, UCAN gets to be the good part. So when people tell their story, they get to say, hey, well, I met this person at UCAN, or UCAN opened up the door for me. They gave me this opportunity. I got my first job. So that's what I empower and encourage my team members to do, that we get to be the good parts in someone's story.
That is beautiful. I think that's a wonderful way for us in not only the nonprofit, but the faith-based community to think about the change that we can make in the lives of others, is to narrate that change, to say, there is a story happening here. And often that story is a story that our media tells or we tell ourselves, and it's a negative story. And now we get to contribute our own verse to that story and change it in some significant way. So you all are doing that at UCAN. What's the philosophy behind your work? How would you describe your strategies, your overall goals at UCAN for the work that you're doing with folks who are burdened and challenged in these ways?
We take a trauma-informed approach, which means that we are dealing with people through the lens of their trauma. It's not an excuse. It's not. It is not a barrier to success, but it's real and it exists. So we're dealing with people in that way. If we get a young person a job and they don't show up for work on time, we're not reprimanding them like, why are you not at work? And we worked so hard to get you this opportunity. We're talking to them like, what happened, right? Why didn't you show up? Then you may learn a young person had to take 3 buses because they had to walk, because they couldn't stand on their corner because someone just got shot there, or they have some people that are, not so great looking for them in those communities. So there's so many different reasons why, and that's that trauma-informed approach. You're really understanding the why, and still helping to rechart their path to get on the right course, and understanding that there's a story behind people's behaviors. It's not just as simple as, when we think about our young people that are involved in shootings. Well, maybe your brother didn't get shot last week, and you may not know what that feels like to want to retaliate against the person who killed your brother. Right. So that's a very natural feeling, I think, right? That's an honest feeling that someone hurt someone you love and you may want to hurt them back. But our job is to help them create the pause and think through and to stop that cycle of hurt.
Exactly.
So that is where we jump in, but we don't take for granted the logical reason why a person would feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is what I love about our work. We get to help change people's behaviors. As long as they're receptive and they keep walking through our doors, then we have a chance each and every day to do that.
That's amazing. And I love the care that you all take to be curious about the reasons that people do what they do, and knowing that the traumas that they may be involved in complicate what they do. In other words, they're doing it scared. They're getting to that job scared and maybe trying to navigate life or navigate streets so that they can be a little less fearful. But then that takes a little bit longer. And knowing the reasons behind something then allows us to be able to target a solution.
Absolutely, yes.
Makes a lot of sense. So tell me a little bit about where this work is happening. You're in North Lawndale, Roseland, you've been in Riverdale. So there's a lot of places where you all are moving and serving 20,000 some young people around the city. So
our employees, we're about 700 strong now, a little bit over 700. These are people that work in 24 hours a day. So we have 3 shifts of employees that are working throughout the city. We're at 16 locations. 7 of those locations are living spaces. So we probably have combined about 200 young people living in those 7 locations. The other are administrative offices, multi-purpose spaces that we're having programming. And that is as far south as you mentioned as Riverdale, Illinois, and as far west as Broadview, Illinois.
Wow. Wow. And what's the benefit of being in an intentional living environment like that? What does that do for a young person?
Well, we're hoping that we're creating safety and security for them. All of those young people are part of the DCFS system. So this is a place that they get to call home. And in our 6 apartment buildings, those are young people that are about to transition out of care. So, whether they like it or not, at 21, they're on their own, they're independent. So it's our job, if we do it right, that they're ready to be independent for real, right?
Right.
They most likely don't have mom or dad to go home to. So we have to really teach them how to stand on their own 2 feet, how to be able to manage their household, how to take care of themselves, ensure that they have a job or whatever financial resource they need. So those employees are critical to the success of young people. I almost feel like if we don't do it right, all the things that could happen to them, they could end up homeless.
Yep.
Substance abuse or misuse, and just all the other things that you could think of, incarcerated. So we don't want that to be their stories. So a lot of those young people, they're with us for about 3 years, which gives us time to help them really get planted and rooted in the community. We have so many success stories, which is wonderful, but there's some that are not successful. And we've started our alumni services program to help those people that are not successful, and they still can come back to us.
Wow.
And we
So
still
you're really
help them.
never giving up on someone. It's like, hey,
You're
you're an
social
alum now.
services.
We'll just
It is,
keep you coming back.
They come back and work for us, and
Yeah.
it's a huge family. We're part of their family. We're part of their ecosystem. Like I said, we're the good part of the story. So when you're the good part of the story, it's hopeful that you want to continue to be a part, and you want us to remain a part of that story.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you're not going to easily let that go.
No. You have
Exactly.
to even manage your team sometime because, they do build great relationships. And they are very connected. And we have to make sure that our teams remain, keep a professional boundary there, but also they don't become depleted because they're pouring out more than they can give. So that does become a challenge in social services.
Oh, yeah. And in faith communities, too.
In faith communities, yeah. Hearts are big.
Yep.
You become an empath in many ways. So we want to make sure that our teams are managing themselves appropriately.
Speaking of which, what do you or others that you know of on your teams do to replenish themselves in this work that you do? Personally, professionally, how do you pour back into yourself in the midst of giving so much?
I'm not great with it, so I'll talk about the team members. I see they go on a lot of vacations.
Yep. You need that. You need a different space and
They take
environment.
days off. And you know what? I'm very grateful. At UCAN, it is a huge community. People are, the way I feel about Whitney Young or FAMU, they feel about UCAN. Me too. So, they have created family. And we tap each other in and out. When people feel like, hey, you need to, you've experienced too much. Our managers are really good about saying, take the day, right? Take a couple days.
An empathic sense of, I think you need
Yeah.
to pull back for a little bit so that you can get
we've had
replenished.
people that, they've gotten too deeply involved with the client because they care so much. And we've had to reassign them. And somebody takes over for them. So I think we're very cognizant of those behaviors. But the other side of it is that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Right? Such a beautiful thing that people are so engaged to people that are not their family.
Exactly.
So I think for the, and it shows in the way that the clients continue to show up. They continue to show up because people are genuinely caring about them and supporting them and becoming that ecosystem that they may not have in other spaces.
When you think of those persons who you're serving, is there a story that sticks out for you or one that a testimony from those who you've served that keeps driving you forward in this work?
There's so many stories. And one of my favorite stories, and I've told it before, And it's so simple, but this story just really just sits on my heart. A young man who was a perpetrator of violence, one of the people driving violence in his community. He joined a workforce program that we had. And it was a Monday morning, and I was sitting around the table with them, and at this point I spent a lot more direct time with the clients, and I still do. It keeps me going, right? I like to talk and touch the clients just to understand this is what I'm working hard for. But this young man said, we said, how was your weekend? He's like, oh, it was a great weekend. I took my kids to Chuck E. Cheese this weekend. So I'm kind of like, okay, Chuck E. Cheese, right? That's pretty common. What's so special? Had you not been to Chuck E. Cheese? Like, oh, I've taken them plenty of times. This time was so important because it's the first time it came from a paycheck. Other times it was, drug sales or some type of, I've robbed someone, whatever kind of antisocial activities he was a part of. Since it's the first time I cashed my check and took my kids with my paycheck.
Wow.
And
his hard-earned
money.
Income.
Yes. And that really meant the world to me because I said, okay, this work is tough, but we're changing people. And he valued it. And he understood, and it made him so proud. And that is the hope that I hope that we continue to instill in people, because that's what's really going to change the community. The one-offs we do with folks, they're great, but he's a dad of 3 kids. So those kids seeing their dad working every day, bringing home a paycheck. Now there's value in that. He's going to impact his 3 children and his family in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think we only get to, we touch a small percentage of people in our community, but I'm hoping that what we're instilling in those folks, the hope that we're giving them is going to really infect other generations, other members of the community.
It's really catalyzing, right?
Yeah.
To see now this father write his family's story and his children's story in such a way that he's the good guy. He's going to bring good things into their life and into their future. And to see those narratives change because of the way that you all have done narrative change is, I think, really inspiring.
Yeah. So that's like one of my favorite stories. And it's so simple, but, I said, oh, this is the impact that we're looking for.
Yeah, it really gets to the core of your work. And how have you seen that not only in individuals, but in communities? So, you all have had a very heavy presence in the North Lawndale community. How have you seen a broader community impact from your work?
Well, I think a couple of things. We try to hire locally. So whenever UCAN goes into a community, we're not only going in as a partner and as a community organization bringing services, we're bringing employment. As much as I love the clients, I think my real job is taking care of my employees. So it does my heart well when I get to see my employees buying new homes, sending their kids to college. So for me, that's how the impact in the community. I think in North Lawndale, we have nearly 100 of our employees are living on the west side in North Lawndale and close communities. So that means that's almost 100 people making in livable wage jobs. Wow. Right? They have insurance, they have benefits, they have 401k plans. So that is really impacting a positive impact on the North Lawndale community, because those people are living there, buying homes, giving back to the economy of the community. So I would say, UCAN has a very positive impact as it pertains to the micro communities that we're a part of throughout the city. But like I said, we have 700 employees. So that's 700 people in Chicago.
Are fanning out, doing great things, contributing to the economic vitality of their communities. I mean, it is like a business, to go back to your business background. It is as if you are really providing the level of employment and stability that a business would run in any community. Yeah. And that's commendable.
It is definitely a business. When I'm looking at budgets and balance sheets every day, I'm here to tell you it is definitely a business. But I do, for me personally, as much as I want to touch the clients and make sure they have what they need, my first priority are my employees. And if I'm taking care of them, then they can take care of the community.
Yeah, that's inspiring. And to know that there's a particular calling for each of us, that we don't have to necessarily do the whole, but if we do our part, it has ripple effects for others as well. What have you learned in this work about what it takes then to create a sort of wholesome, vibrant, peaceful community? If you were to tell us, here's the formula, here's what it takes, what's an ingredient in that formula?
I don't know that I know the formula yet, but I'm working on it. So I have some ingredients. I think people need access to healthy food, right? So we have to make sure that they can, the essential elements of life: healthy food, shelter, employment, medical doctors, medical care. I think spiritual support, so churches. I think if they have those elements, then they can be successful in their community. Unfortunately, many of the communities we work in are missing or lacking several of those critical resources. Many are food deserts. Some people don't have access to healthy foods, fresh foods. They're buying groceries from, corner stores, gas stations. Many of them don't have sustainable health care close by, so they're going to emergency rooms when they're sick and not having the preventative care that they need.
Those two are related, the food and the health care.
Yeah. So, and many of them don't have, jobs close by. And transportation isn't great in all places. So there's not a UCAN everywhere. A lot of our employees can walk to work. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, they live right there. They can walk to work.
That's beautiful. You get to stay in your community rather than leave it or flee it. I think that drain of people with gifts and resources from our communities are often the things that cause many of the problems that we see.
And, we promote people living within the community because, to your point, you don't want to, once you, quote unquote, make it, then you leave the community.
Right.
So you still want people to stay in community. So I think absent of those things, that's when you see the high levels of poverty, which unfortunately a symptom of that is violence. So we do a lot of advocacy work to help bring grocery stores and fresh foods into communities. We do work with, I personally sit on a board for the Southside Healthy Communities Organization. It's 13 hospitals, with the University of Chicago being the anchor, trying to get more resources into communities so folks can get preventative care close by their homes. Like those are just elements, aspects that make a healthy community.
Thank you for mentioning that, especially the advocacy piece, because that's something that I think those of us in the Fourth Church community and beyond can engage in as well. We may not necessarily live in a neighborhood that you are serving in, but we can certainly support those neighborhoods and the resources that they need by adding our voices to yours. And I know if people want to follow up with me and our Mission and Justice Committee later, we'd be glad to pass on resources for them to be able to do that as well. I wanted to go back to something you had mentioned that people need in a healthy, vibrant community, and that's faith, their ideals, values. Can you speak a little bit to your own personal ideals or faith journey and just how that strengthens you, how that's helped you to be a catalyst in the kind of work that you do?
Absolutely. So I'm a faithful member of Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church.
Excellent.
So we're 45th in Princeton, Southside. Probably almost 20 years a member there.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm loyal. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, they need to thank God for your presence in the community and in the
I'm
fellowship
not
as
going
well.
anywhere. Yeah, fellowship is great. Me and my family were there every Sunday. Prayer calls in the morning, and I have a very close relationship with my pastor. You can't do this work, in my opinion, without having faith. Because there are some there's a lot of scenarios that feel pretty hopeless, right? So I deal with 500 kids that are not with their families each and every day, right? So I think that I heavily rely on my faith, not just on church on Sunday, but which I do. It's the gym for me. I have to kind of get re-energized on Sundays at church, and then my personal prayer time and meditation throughout the week. I may text my pastor if I need to, but I don't know how I ended up here, to be quite honest, right?
Yeah.
The first woman to lead a 156-year-old organization. So I feel like this
What a
is where
model,
God
yeah.
has appointed me to do. Some days I'm like, God, why did you pick me? What did I do to deserve this? And then other days I'm like, what did I do to deserve this awesome blessing, right? So I have to, I'm very clear on that. I don't think I'm the smartest person. I don't think I'm the most innovative person in the world. So there was some reason why God selected me to do this job. There were other people who wanted the job. So I'm very grateful, very humble, and appreciative that I am the person who was selected to do it. I think I reflect the values, or I reflect the people that I'm serving. I'm not only the only first woman, but the first African American to sit in this seat. About 80% of my workforce are African American women. Most of my clients are African American young people. So I understand why this is the right time for me to do it. But it's a heavy lift. Being the first to do anything comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of expectation. But I am grateful for it, and I've learned so much through this journey. I have a great network of folks around me. So aside from my church family, my family, my friends, my work family, so that I have my own ecosystem of support, because I couldn't do any of this without them.
Yeah, so many people contributing to your own well-being. It kind of comes full circle with your story, being the first to go to college in your family. You're very familiar with first.
Yes.
And a great model for people who want to break through barriers and be the first, perhaps in their family or in their circle, to break out of patterns that may not have been life-giving for them. So it's I think a great way that your life models and your leadership models what we would hope to see for so many of our young people here in Chicagoland. We share a common artist in Gerald Griffin.
Yes.
When I went to visit the UCAN campus over in North Lawndale, I was struck by a very large painting in your lobby done by Gerald Griffin, who, for those of you who don't know, is a very prominent and immensely gifted and talented Chicago African-American artist. And Gerald is commissioned, or he did a painting commission for us here at Fourth. It's called The Ascension, and it's the story of the ascension of Christ after Christ's resurrection. And one of the things I love about it is the way in which the painting, in those who are in the painting watching Jesus ascend, and in Jesus' own body, they are primarily black and brown bodies, faces, peoples. And every time we have visitors, guests, congregants, and students who come from our youth development programs of Chicago Lights, when they, being African Americans, see that painting, I love that they get to see a little bit of themselves modeled and reflected in what is holy, beautiful, and sacred. How How did you end up connecting with Gerald Griffin, and what is that painting in your own lobby? What does it say and speak to you?
So the painting was BC, before Christa. So I actually don't know the history how the painting got to UCAN, but I do think when I look at the painting, it's a wonderful painting. It's a young African American boy with like a storm behind him.
Yeah.
And it really connects with when I mentioned UCAN is the good part of the story. So I liken it to when people walk through our doors. Hopefully the storm is behind them, right? The storm is behind them, and it's a lot of chaos, and it looks like a tornado behind him. But when they walk through our doors, hopefully we leave that there, and we walk into some sunshine and some peace, as much as we can offer them. So we like to control the controllables, and most of that is within ourselves. Right, what we do, the decisions that we make, can impact our external environment. So that is my how my interpretation of the painting is.
That's beautiful.
We're leaving that storm behind us when we walk into UCAN.
Well, thank you for the ways in which you're creating a space of peace and well-being for so many of our young people in the Chicagoland community, and you're investing in our communities in such a way that those storm clouds are going to go away for so many
I would love that.
in the future. Before we leave, I would love to know maybe a book, an article, music that's inspiring you right now, that's salt and light for you in this moment.
So I'm not finished with it yet, but I am jumping on the Let Them bandwagon, the Mel Robbins book. So I've started it, and I am just completely sold that it's going to change my life in some ways. I don't know if you've followed it at all, but it's called Let Them, and it's really helping you to allow people to be who they are. And not focus your energy and your time on trying to change them or change situations, but focus on your own happiness. And that's really difficult in a seat like mine, right? Like I said, 700 employees.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get it right. I want to make sure everybody's happy, everybody gets what they need, while balancing and juggling the demands of our funders and our board of directors and, the performance that we have to meet, budgets. So I'm hoping personally that it helps me to focus on what's most important, and maybe conserve some of my energy in trying to people please a bit.
Yes, I think we all need a little bit of that as well. If we're going to do good work, we need that balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because I want to make everybody happy, to be quite honest with you. I do. I would love that. I would love for everybody to love all the decisions that I make.
Absolutely. I mean, we in the faith community, the same thing. We want God's beloved community for everybody, but
it's not always possible. So, I think you mentioned earlier, it is my primary job to be a good steward of the funding that we get, to ensure that we invest it properly, we make good decisions, and that sometimes is not always the most popular decision that has to be made. So I'm looking forward to finishing that book and letting them.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that great resource and for your leadership and your conversation today. I leave inspired, and I hope those of us at the Fourth Church community and those listening today will be inspired by our conversation with Christa. Maybe you'll look for ways to volunteer with UCAN Chicago, and we can make that connection for you here at Fourth Church. If there's something in particular that inspired you today or something you'd like us to pursue in future podcasts, please reach out to me. You can do that at saltandlight@fourthchurch.org. Until next time, thank you, Christa, and God's blessings. Go out into the world and be salt and light.